Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we're going to be taking a look at the updates from April 2021 for the SideGame library. So this is going to include all the new games that we received in as well as games that we've pre-ordered. So without further ado, let's take a look. So before we start though, I have two things that we're talking about that are component upgrades. We've got the Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion removable sticker set and map. So very solid addition here. These are going to add ways that you can reuse the maps. You can have multiple campaigns one after another. So you can recycle the game. Very nice. I like this. It gets you that satisfaction of putting things on the board without having to worry about the repercussions and never being able to take them off. So I like this as an upgrade. Up next, we've got the Chinese coin set from Amazon as well. So these are really nice. They are just a variety of coins, about 100 of them. They have this Chinese design on them. Use them for games like Blackout Hong Kong or for the Chinese factions in Rising Sun. I like having that differentiation. It really adds to the theme. Really cool. These are not very light. These are not very heavy. They're very light, so just be aware when you do get them. They're not as heavy as traditional metal coins for board games are. So, but they are very thematic and very cool. So I really like these. These are the Chinese New Year coins. And now we go into the games. So the first game that we added was Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, a great detective style game. So we got rid of our initial copy before we started doing this, and we thought, this is a great solid game. We need to get it back to make sure that we can introduce it to as many people as possible. So this one in particular has a 4-part expansion, or 4-part campaign, as well as standalone scenarios. So I think this is a great one for groups that like this detective style of game. Up next is the Star Wars Unlock. Similarly to the detective game, these are one-offs, but I think that the Star Wars theme combined with an escape room is wonderful. I think it'll draw a lot of people in with its theme, and the gameplay will make for an awesome one-shot experience. So something ideal for a library like SideGame. So really like the idea here, Star Wars Unlock. Up next, this is going to be Red Rising. So this is the new game from Stonemaier. We got the collector's edition in. There's a review on the channel if you'd like to go see that. This one in particular is a hand-building game based on the popular book series Red Rising. So if that's something you're interested in, I really do recommend this if you like the Red Rising books. For me, it was just an okay game. I would rather play Fantasy Realms, but I definitely can see this game having its fans. It is beautiful, the components are gorgeous, and we've since added some weights to the bottom of the card holders, so we shouldn't have an issue with anything falling over again. So very cool, that's Red Rising. Up next, we're going to talk about Blackout Hong Kong. So this is also just it's a fine game, in my opinion. It's by one of my favorite designers, Alexander Pfister. This is what the metal coins were for. But it is a solid game about managing resources on this kind of dice resource wheel and using those resources to recruit cards into your hand and kind of building out your abilities and your different options as you play. So you've got lots of cool ideas here, good simultaneous play, very clear rules. It's very straightforward. The new edition also changed some of the art, and I think they did a great job with helping with the visibility. So it's no longer just this pitch black board. So I really like this one. I recommend this one. Give it a try. So that's Blackout Hong Kong. Up next, we've got Marvel Champions, the card game Galaxy's Most Wanted. Definitely the most challenging out of all the Marvel Champions content, but a great bang for your buck, especially if you enjoy the game. So there's a review for this on the channel as well. I hope that you find that useful. It's got timestamps so you can skip potential spoilers, but this game is great, a great expansion. I really like this one. Up next, we have Micro Macro Crime City, another amazing game. So this one really took me by surprise. It's a visual detective style game where you're trying to solve cases with tiny little objectives along the way that make for a wonderful and very inviting experience. One of my favorite experiences from this past year, actually, and I really enjoyed this one. So if you could find a copy, try this one out, or you always can come on by and we'll set this one out for you. So love this one, Micro Macro Crime City. Up next, this one is actually sitting in my mailbox right now. This is Fantasy Realms, The Cursed Horde. Very excited to try this one out. It just arrived, super pumped. This is the expansion to Fantasy Realms, and it's got some cool ideas in it. It's going to add these artifact cards that give you additional special powers without cluttering kind of the combos that are in the deck itself. So I like this small injection of complexity into the simple core game of Fantasy Realms, and I really hope it's done well. So I really, really like Fantasy Realms, so I hope this is a nice supplemental expansion as opposed to something that is going to kind of, ruin that beautiful balance that it has right now. Another game that we've had some big success with is Nidavellir. So Nidavellir is a really cool game. It just started being released in the United States. It was overseas last year, but really like this one. It has this really cool coin crafting system where you're going to be upgrading your coins as you play the game or using them to bid on cards. So you're doing some set collection, you're doing lots of different scoring opportunities, and it has this really cool hero system where you are enlisting the help of these heroes and they give you really bonkers cool abilities. And that being said, the expansion, Thingvellir, is also going to be here very soon, so it'll be here tomorrow. That's when I'm filming this. So I'm filming this on the 29th of April, but it'll be here tomorrow, and very excited to try this out. It offers new heroes, and it's going to have all sorts of fun new ways to tackle the puzzle that is Nidavellir. So really excited. Also introduces the new tavern, new mercenaries, lots of awesome stuff. So I love Nidavellir, and I'm excited to see what this expansion does. Up next, these two games that we'll talk about have not played yet, but they are on their way, but they have been ordered. But they should be arriving sometime in the next week. And this is Fields of Arle. So big Uwe Rosenberg fan, and this is one of his designs from a couple years ago. This is very solid, another farming theme, but I really like the idea of this game, how it is a much more intimate worker placement game because it is such a small player count, and I'm excited to see what new things it does with Uwe's kind of design. So I'm a big fan of almost all of his games, and I'm excited to see what this one offers. The next game is one that I've been looking at for a while. This is Trois. So Trois is really awesome. You have all these dice that you're going to be using to do different actions, and you can even use your opponent's dice to take actions, which I think is really cool. It really opens up this really interesting think space, and this is another one of those games that'll be here next week that we ordered last week. So really excited. Been looking at this one for a while, and I'm excited to jump in and see what it's all about. So very excited, Trois. And then the last one from this list is Bonanza. It's in that same shipment. Now, I have played Bonanza. Bonanza is a cute little game, once again by Uwe Rosenberg, but it is one of his first designs, and it's all about trading your beans. So super goofy theme, super goofy artwork, and as you can expect, it's a goofy, fun time as you play. So really fun, Bonanza, great tiny little game. Up next, we have a pre-order for Venom, Agent Venom, for the Marvel Champions card game. This is a cool expansion. You are looking at the Flash Thompson version of Venom as opposed to Eddie Brock, and you've got all sorts of cards that are all about your upgrades, and specifically weapon upgrades. So he's very versatile in what he does, and he's going to be using resources to do all sorts of fun things. Now, just look at him right off the bat, he looks pretty incredible. He's got some great cards that make me feel like, man, you should just play him if instead of Rocket if you're going for like pure power standpoint, because he is using the same kind of the weapon upgrades ideas, but he seems just really powerful from the get-go as opposed to Rocket, who kind of needs to build up a little bit. So I'm excited to see how Venom works in some of the more difficult scenarios, so I assume he'll do a little bit better than Rocket did in the Galaxy's Most Wanted campaign, but we'll have to wait till then. So very excited. Flash Thompson, Agent Venom, awesome. And then some Kickstarters that have arrived this month. We had Ankars Plunder arrive. So this has the Horizons Wrath and Uprising factions for the Cloudspire factions, as well as a new campaign book with scenarios and all sorts of additional extras. So we have all sorts of treasures, new events, lots of great new artwork, brand new mercenaries, and my new favorite faction actually is in this box. So my new favorite is actually the Uprising. Their whole deal is that they deal with mercenary chips. So whenever you use the Uprising, you're going to be putting chips into the market, and you're going to use the chips in the market as if they were your regular units. You're kind of a band of people below the islands, so you're going to be constantly manipulating the market and enlisting their help. So really awesome, really fascinating faction, and I love that they have a variety of paths and options, and it's all tactical because it's going to be based off of what shows up in that mercenary pool. And just by getting this expansion, you're going to double the amount of mercenary chips at your disposal for your other game, so this is definitely an expansion worth getting, Uprising. And in addition to that, you also have have the Horizon's Wrath. These are the pirate faction. They are pretty crazy. They've got a ship, and they have some really weird towers that are positional, so they only shoot in straight lines. So it's really interesting how you're going to have to manage that and really time things correctly. So, but overall, I'm really impressed with this expansion. It has really added some new flavor to Cloudspire, and I think it's a great addition. So if you like Cloudspire, definitely give this one a look. The other game that came in was Zombicide 2nd Edition. So we got the all-in minus the RPG stuff, but we really enjoyed the system. They did a bunch of really awesome things to change it up. The first thing they did was they changed the layout of the zombie cards themselves, so that's a great addition. The first thing that they did was they made it so only one type of zombie appears, which seems like a small change, and it is, but it's a very elegant one, because now you're simply just grabbing a handful from a single stack as opposed to having to pick from multiple areas. It makes the zombie phase go much more quickly, and it's going to have you taking your turns as the survivors a lot quicker. So I really like that. You've also just got a whole bunch of content, as you know with Zombicide games, full of miniatures. You've got stretch goals on stretch goals on stretch goals, all these survivors to pick from. So lots of exciting things here. Now, in addition to all that, you've got lots of choices when it comes to playing single scenarios or doing campaigns. So you have campaign play in the Washington ZC expansion, as well as the Fort Hendricks expansion. And you can use your characters in order to accomplish missions after missions. So lots of different ways to play this. And it even came with a travel edition, which I think is hilarious. You can, let me see if I can find it here. So you've got a travel edition, so you can bring Zombicide with you on the go. And I think that's a really cute little addition here. So there's the Washington ZC expansion here with its new scenarios. You got Fort Hendricks, which does something similar. And then you've also got the travel Zombicide. So it's a mini version of Zombicide. Adorable. Comes in this little travel case. I can't get enough of this. So I think it's the cutest thing ever. But really fancy. I really like the new survivors, the new characters. As you saw in those stretch goals, you've got some characters like you got Lil Wayne, you've got Childish Gambino, you've got all sorts of different survivors and zombie unlocks. You've got Gordon Ramsay. You've got, who else is in here? Anthony Bourdain. You've got Oprah, you've got just all sorts of fun characters. So I love the pulpy nature that is Zombicide, and I just think it's a blast. So I really like this modern setting. I think it sets it apart from the Black Plague, so you're not kind of combining two overused genres, zombies and fantasy, and I think that the standard version is the way to go. So really like this one. Sorry, we probably rambled a little bit too much on that one. Up next, we've got Millennium Blades, and this is finally here. Oh my goodness. So this one took a long time to finally arrive. This is the cooperative expansion for Millennium Blades, as well as the final expansion. So it comes in 2 gigantic boxes, and inside you're going to have all sorts of cards to use. So more cards than you'll know what to do with. You've got lots of new expansions, new promos, new masters, all sorts of cards. You also have some really cool features, which I think are just amazing. You have this crossover content, and I think that's a blast. You're going to see cards from games that you love. So Millennium Blades has Dethroned joining. It's got Red Raven Games from near and far, Monolith Arena, Purgle Bros, Midara, Street Masters. They all have their own promo packs that you can incorporate in your games. A lot of fun. This is a CCG simulator, so if you like games like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon, this simulates that experience of you going to a card shop and buying your packs and hoping you get something good and trading with others and selling to the store and buying more packs and building your deck and entering the tournament. A lot of fun. I really like the theme. I like the gameplay. And I'm curious to see what the cooperative expansion is going to be like. So very excited, and we'll have all the stuff for it. So any way you want to play this game, we'll have it available for you. So super exciting. That is Millennium Blades Collusion. And then 2 Kickstarters that we put in for pre-orders this month, and we are thinking about a couple more. I'll probably pull the trigger on them next month and update you then, but 2 for sure that we got are Scrumpy card Cider. This game is super fascinating. It is a deck building style game where your deck is a resource as well as going to be what you use to take actions and whatnot. So if you look at the back of these cards, they have resources on the sides, and you'll actually tuck those into the sides of your player board here to serve as specific resource, which I think is a super fascinating idea. You can use this to kind of lock up specific cards onto your board so they're not in your deck, but doing so is also going to limit your options in the future. So I think that is super awesome. I'm excited to see this really neat, fresh take on a deck building style game, and I like how they call it a deck manipulation as opposed to deck building. Super cool. The production looks great. I really like the theme here. It's something that's akin to Brewcrafters, but specifically Cider, and I just think this will be a great game. Up next is the largest Kickstarter we've backed in a while. This is Mythic Battles Ragnarok. So Mythic Battles Ragnarok, we went in on the Ouroboros pledge, I think is what it's called. It's where you're going to get Pantheon and Ragnarok and all the additional stuff. So a huge expense here, but I think it will pay off. I think that this will be a fantastic game that a lot of people can enjoy. We have the different options with the cooperative and the competitive mode, so you can do that skirmish style, or you can do the cooperative scenarios. There's lots of different choices there. And now we have the two different populations of gods that you can battle with each other. So I really like the idea of this different take on Norse mythology, so it's separate from things like Blood Rage. It's going to emphasize on a lot more of the lesser known lore, so you have like the goats that belong to Thor, as well as the different spirits. You have the Freya's cats, and a lot of more minor characters than you would normally think of when you think of Norse mythology. But of course you also have the big ones, so you have Frigga, and you have Freyr, and all sorts of amazing characters. So you have Loki, you even have the troll version of Loki, which I think is awesome. It's just stretch goal after stretch goal, crazy amounts. But you have lots of different choices here, and the fact that you can combine a Ragnarok with the Pantheon expansion, or with the Pantheon set, is amazing. I love the idea of taking these two Pantheons and smashing them against each other. So really excited to see how they all interact. I'm excited for these new scenarios. I'm excited for just how it all works. And I really like how they are including sleeves with the all-ins. And that way you can keep everything nice and organized, nice and protected, as well as mix them in without the backs of the two different games clashing. So really excited for that. Just very pumped for this entire system as a whole. So I did get a chance to play this. I do know that it's a solid system, and I love the theme. The theme is really the biggest thing that's going to bring people in, I think. So really excited. That is Mythic Battles Ragnarok and Mythic Battles Pantheon. Yeah, the Ouroboros pledge here. So super, super excited. I mean, look at that. Thor and Loki, and you have Hel and Freya. I really like how they take their own approach to the art style here, and they really make it their own. So super excited, ready to take on Fafnir and Fenrir. Let's go. Maybe get some helps from the dwarves from Nidavellir. Super exciting. So that is our update video for April of 2021. These are all the games that we're super excited about. What games are you excited, or what games did you get in this month? Which ones have you been playing? I'm just excited to hear all about what you have to say. So if there's anything that we should be picking up that we missed this last month, please let me know as well. But that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. It really does help us grow and lets us do more cool online things. But thanks again so much. I really appreciate it. Side game strong.